there guys, I'm Jon Campea. Thanks for visiting my movie vlog, and this is my quick review of the brand new comedy, Tag. Now, as you probably heard in the marketing, Tag is based on a true story that was printed in the Wall Street Journal about this group of men who have been playing an ongoing game of tag for nearly 30 years. And this is kind of not an exact shot-for-shot retelling of the true story. There's a lot of creative liberties taken here, but it's based on this unbelievable story. Now, the movie stars Jon Hamm, Jeremy Renner, Hannibal Buress, Ed Helms, and Jake Johnson. And this represents the core group of guys, the friends who've been playing this game of tag ever since they were children. Now, a lot of them live in all different cities across the country, but every year in the month of May, they play a game of tag, and the results are actually pretty damn funny. And it's interesting because you go into a movie like this where you understand the premise. It's about a bunch of guys who've been playing a game of tag. How do you make a full-length feature film about that? But they find a way. The movie has a lot of good laughs in it along the way, and that's the most important thing as a comedy. But what's even more important is that they sew in some heart into it as well. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a bunch of parts of this movie where it gets a little cringy and some of the humor is a little bit too over the top and it gets a little too ridiculous in some points. Now, you suspend disbelief. You understand there's going to be a little bit of cringiness, some over the topness, but sometimes they push it even a little bit too far to the point there are certain scenes that just aren't enjoyable. But there are a lot of scenes that are pretty damn funny along the way. And like I said, they sew into it heart, where you really start to feel and appreciate not just the bonds and the friendships that these characters have, but I remember one of the things I said to my wife leaving the theater was that the movie made me want to reach out and email and call old friends of mine from back home. And when a movie can do that, that's actually pretty special. Now, narratively, the spark plug for this particular movie is that one of the guys, played by Jeremy Renner, he is supposedly retiring from the game of tag at the end of this season because he himself is now getting married and he wants to move on from the game. So now it's important to all the other guys to get him. Why? Because Jeremy Renner's character is the one guy in all the almost 30 years they've been playing this game has never once been tagged. And now the rest of the guys decide this is the year then that we're going to get him. And that's basically the crux of the whole movie. Now, they do try to throw in a couple of little side stories as well, a little side plot here and there. One involving Rashida Jones as one of the old flames of a couple of the guys since they were kids. One with Leslie Bibb being the girl who's going to be marrying Jeremy Renner. But really, for the most part, those little side stories are just barely touched upon, and they keep most of the attention and most of the focus on the main story. And that's a good thing because the main story itself is pretty good, and that's where a lot of the laughs come along the way. As expected, Jake Johnson is actually really quite funny in this. Jeremy Renner, Jon Hamm's really good. Ed Helms, who I don't like in a lot of projects, but I actually quite liked him in this. Look, bottom line is this. Tag is not going to be the greatest comedy of the year. It may not even be in the top 3 greatest comedies of the year. There are some moments it gets a little bit cringy. Some of the humor goes a little bit too silly. Yes, that's true. But along the way, there are a lot of laughs too. And at the end of it, you just feel good. And like I said, I think when you're done watching this movie, you're going to want to reach out to old friends of yours too and reconnect. And that makes it a pretty good viewing experience. So overall, I'd say, yeah, check out Tag. I had a good time watching it overall. Just don't expect anything Oscar worthy. And I think you might have a good time. The question here is, what do you think? Have you had a chance to see an early screening of Tag? If so, what did you think about the film? Jump into the comment section below and leave me your thoughts. And even if you haven't seen it, what are your expectations? What have you been thinking about this movie from the previews? Let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, since you're here anyway, why don't you take a second and click on that subscribe button, become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter, simply @JonCampea. You can see that right there. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's Jon Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.